Hello, this is Cryptolyze. I hope you are well this Friday, 17 November 2023. So we're meeting today to talk about TRX, TRON's crypto. Many of you have asked me. So we're dealing with it today, so as usual we're going to try it in two parts. A fundamental part, we will come back to what TRX is, what TRON is, its news, and then we will project ourselves onto the charts to see buying prices, selling prices, short, medium, long term. Especially that we had a big acceleration. We're going to explain all this about technical analysis, and it starts right away. As a reminder, you always have the possibility of having free access to the educational course, which is a 60-hour training worth €400, which allows you to learn blockchain, crypto, investment, analysis technique, trading, everything to become profitable. Through 130 videos, 400 pages of guides, quizzes to find out where you are in your progress, and all for free. To have access to this lifelong training, simply use the platform of one of our partners. Everything is explained in the comments and descriptions. What is TRON? TRON is a level 1 blockchain, which structurally means that it is a decentralized infrastructure which aims to provide users and developers with decentralized means to be able to either build decentralized applications or be able to make low decentralized payments. This is exactly what was designed at the level of TRON. And the goal, really, is not so much decentralized applications, it is rather the easy means of payment between different users, and it is excessively used in inter-exchange fund transfers. And that's why we often see parties in which we have the possibility of making deposits only in TRCT20. So who is TRON, and what is the case, for example, from ZoomX? So which is an exchange that I presented last time, in which we have either ERC20 or TRCT20. And in fact, TRC20 is like what we can find on a blockchain which is relatively weak, at low cost, but which is very easy to instantiate, very easy to integrate for exchanges, and therefore which allows us to be able to transfer funds easily. This is why it is something that we will always find at the same time as Ethereum. We will have TRCT20 initially, and then we will have other protocols, which will be integrated into the level of monetary fees, which will be the case for ZoomX, but which is also the case for all the other exchanges. And that is also why it is one of the strengths of TRON, in which we have a TVL and a volume rate, which is linked mainly to the different players in the Web3 ecosystem who use TRON as a vector of monetary movement through, in fact, the reduction in costs and the flexibility that it can have. Next to that, we really have the design of TRON, which therefore remains above all a blockchain, and which aims to be able to make sidechains available. It is also one of the first to have really conceptualized this part, in which we will have a main chain, and then the possibility of being able to create an equivalent of TRON, in fact of the blockchain, but only for an application purpose, and in which we will be able to interface. And that's why we also find many exchanges which will use the notion of sidechain, all internal transfers, and then interface between the two, so as to be able to function. This was the notion of DApp chain, therefore decentralized application chain, which was also very strongly democratized subsequently by Cosmos. Besides, we still have partners who are relatively heavy. We will have Samsung, we will have Polynext, which is at the same time normal. We will explain a little later. We are going to have Opera, we are going to have BitTorrent. So we really have something which is revolved around this conceptualization part, in which we are going to have monetary transfer, decentralized applications at the level of the construction of DApp chain, and next to it we have Sun Network. It's not next door, it's at the same time we have the representation of Sun Network. We must not forget that who is behind TRON? There is Justin Sen. And Justin Sen, he is a character in his own right in the crypto ecosystem, who at one point I like to compare to potentially an SBF, in any case who I liked before FTX arrived. Consider that it was a bit of an SBF bulls, because he was continually in the bear market saying, I have billions to spend. I'm buying back everything there is to buy back. Don't hesitate to tell me if there needs, I buy again. Except he didn't buy back a lot of things. And this is where we need to take a step back. And above all, in terms of Justin Sun, is that if Justin Sun disappears or something happens, what will happen to TRON? Because Justin Sun, in fact, remains the key element, the key representation. A bit like the image one might have of a CZ in relation to Binance. What will happen if there is ever a problem with the effigy behind TRON? Well, we will certainly have problems at the level of the network itself. And alongside, we also have the interconnection of Justin Sun with a certain number of exchanges that you certainly already know. I'm not going to mention them there, But we actually have this somewhat artistic vagueness in which at the beginning, no, he didn't have them, he didn't own them. Then it was proven that he did, so it came back. So, at a given moment, we have a circle which is a bit opaque, we will say, in which we do not necessarily know what is happening, and it raises questions at the level of TRX. And on the other hand, it is one of the reasons why generally I stay relatively far from the TRX token, because for me I consider that it is manipulated. We will see it in the graph, and I will show you why. On the other hand, TRON remains one of the most used blockchains in terms of exchange volume and TVL, still a lot of TVL on it. But at the same time, it is logical being true that it is blockchain of Justin Sun, in which there are all of Justin Sun's businesses which revolve around TRX and TRON. So obviously we have intrinsic volume linked to that, and we don't forget that TRX is a big part of the Justin Sun's fortune is not just that, but TRX is a big part of it. We will finish in the fundamental part. We will attack the technical part in which we have something which is relatively clean, with an acceleration phase, reaccumulation phase, second acceleration with an ATH, which was carried out in April 2021, ATH, which was not subsequently broken, in which we collapsed with a bearish breakout, and a retest, which was carried out in November 2021, before having the establishment of a sign of weakness and breathing in, which we had a form of lateralization which is very particular, which does not represent what we have experienced on the rest of the cryptos. That's what is very interesting. In which here we have the distribution with a BC, an AR, an ST, and the sign of weakness, okay? Classic distribution in which here this sign of weakness and the AR, the sign of weakness is really very, very weak. When we look, we just have a limit of liquidity. We could consider that here it is a huge accumulation. Is there any representation? Do we also have an accumulation located here? So we have two weak-off patterns which are nested between the two, and a key level which is very, very important to note, which is here the 5. This is a level in which systematically it has been redeemed once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, even one could say. So it's really a level that was forbidden. I explained to you why it was forbidden in all the videos that I made on TRON, in which I told you that it was systematically redeemed in this part. I think that, in fact, we have a systematic buyback as soon as we arrive in this zone, because that is what allows us to maintain the price. And that's why the TRON, despite the attacks that there may have been, because TRON and TRX notably launched a stablecoin, which was, subsequently from Terra Luna, attacked very strongly through very short aggressive and a massive dump attempt, and which was systematically redeemed and defended in this part. And Justin Sun had at the time also withdrawn the TRX, all the liquidity of the TRX, which was on Binance, to in fact reduce the levers, and therefore increase at the same time the pressure of the funding rate, therefore, which is in fact what costs all the 8 hours for people to maintain their position. It had increased drastically, and so it cost people an arm and a leg to maintain their shorts. And precisely there was this whole part of manipulation which was very strong. And I told you that this time by telling you that will not break this level. On that note, don't worry. It will be bought back systematically because it is defended. It is a leverage tool for Justin Sun, and therefore the TRX will be maintained at a certain level and will certainly also be sold at certain levels. And that's why I think that the first price that we could set in terms of evolution will certainly be the 0.13. In any case, I think that there we will have a person exit in which we will have an X2, X3 compared to those who followed me on this area here, telling you that it will not break on this lower level, and that even if we go back, we won't go back for long, we will just be wisps, and we see that we have accelerated too. Will we be able to break the BC? I think so, from the moment we enter a bull run phase, and obviously we don't have issues linked to Justin Sun, linked to the different exchanges he has. Because we do not forget that there were still a certain number of hacks which were carried out on these exchanges. And besides, we haven't talked too much. But there are deals that were made to be able to quite simply cushion the news, also cushion the hacks, in which there were forms of compensation that were carried out. But nevertheless, we know that it is necessarily linked to the ecosystem of the character. And so, next to it, we will be directly, in terms of performance, linked to that. I think he's pretty uncommunicative at the moment, so maybe he's planning something to watch out for. In any case, for me, technically, we should be able to set up a setup with a wave 1, wave 2, and prepare a goal afterwards. For that, we will have to look for its Fibonacci extension, the low point, the high point, the low point subsequently, and we can already look for the first one first. Objective would be the 1 or the 1.1 to get the 0.21, And then we could go and get the 0.32 here, the 1.68 classic objective in necessarily next to a Justin Sun ecosystem, which continues to blossom agreement. So it's not the one linked to Tron, it's linked to all the side businesses of Justin Sun, because all the side businesses use what? Use Tronc and therefore behind them value TRX because precisely they use TRX and Tronc as a management methodology and dApp chain, which is what we explained in the fundamental part. I hope you liked it. If so, don't forget to leave me a like and a comment, it helps me a lot. And we'll see you tomorrow for the weekly. A very important video in which we look back on the whole week. And above all, we are reviewing our confirmations, our confirmation tickets, and our strategy. Don't miss it. 13:30 every Saturday.